Destiny is one of the biggest left-leaning political streamers on the internet, and there's a lot of things about him that are quirky, a little unorthodox, if you will, and one of those things is his relationship. Destiny is, or was, in an open relationship with a woman named Melina, and this relationship has recently ended in a divorce. Now, I could come on here and just say something like, oh, open relationship moment, this would never work, open relationships are an epic fail.
One of the most expected and predictable relationship dramas that everyone on the internet saw coming. We're talking about streamer Destiny and the demise of his open marriage. Shocking. The marriage that allowed each partner to sleep with whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted, didn't work out.
But I want to be a little bit more nuanced and actually look at Destiny's specific case, because I think Destiny is smarter and definitely more well-adjusted than the average person who would be in an open relationship. I mean, that's just a fact. And I want to analyze Destiny's case kind of specifically and not just go for the cheap shots against open relationships. I mean, obviously it should go without saying that I do not support open relationships. I would never be in one. I think if you're entering one, just you gotta be a different kind of person to do that, bro. Like, that's just not gonna end well in my opinion. Like, I'm the kind of guy who thinks open relationship is kind of an oxymoron. Like, you know, if you're having a romantic relationship, it's kind of, I feel like, inherently supposed to be exclusive. But even if you don't believe me in my position, I think that the track record for most open relationships sort of speak for themselves. I actually saw this post recently, maybe it was on Reddit, but it was this person who was like, I'm in an open relationship and I'm starting to experience feelings of jealousy. Guys, is this normal? Like, what's going on with this? I don't know what's wrong. I love my partners. We're having a great time. My wife's boyfriend rocks. We play Nintendo Switch. It's a great time. I love his Funko Pop collection. We saw the new John Wick movie together, and it's just like, bro, yeah, obviously you're gonna experience feelings of jealousy. That's human. That's why a lot of the times these open relationships don't work, and they definitely don't work long term, G. But yeah, we're gonna look at Destiny's specific case and sort of why I think things happen the way they happen. Also talk about Melina, the girl who he divorced, and why I think she's kind of just like a piece of garbage, and kind of defend Destiny, because as far as political streamers and political commentators go, I think a lot of them on both sides are like dishonest and they ignore things that maybe make their side look bad or something like that. They're very partisan. They're all a bunch of partisan hacks, and I think he's a good guy. I went on his show, Kick or Keep, and I had a good time there, and he has me friend on Discord, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but looking at all the facts and looking at the situation, I do think it's fair to say that he is in a tough spot, regardless of if he made a bad decision about his marriage. If you never thought he should be in an open relationship, you gotta feel a little bit bad when someone just gets mistreated and lied about and slandered on the internet, even if, yeah, they got into an open relationship and maybe that wasn't a great idea. So yeah, let's take a look. Hey, but before we do that, why aren't you subscribed? Subscribe to the channel, obviously, and follow my Instagram and Twitter, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you. So right off the bat, the two things that I know about Destiny's wife are, in my opinion, red flags. The first one is that she is in the adult star territory. I know she has a Fansly, which is like an OnlyFans competitor, and now I don't know if she posts like the tasteful content on there where it's maybe just her in swimsuits or dresses or something like that, or if she's doing like the full-on nude stuff. But in my opinion, I do think that if you're in a relationship with someone, most of the time, I just don't know if you need to be doing that. Obviously, it's not for the money. Destiny's a multi-millionaire, so if she's doing that, it's not because they need the money or anything. But I mean, look, man, if she wants to do that, I'm not stopping her. Destiny didn't stop her. But I just want to say that I think personally, in a relationship in general, I think a lot of people would consider that to be a red flag. The second thing is that she has only had ever in her life been in open relationships. So going into the marriage with Destiny, that was sort of the goal, I guess, from the start, which was for it to be an open marriage, which is, again, not something that I would ever do or conceive of doing. But if Destiny was cool with it, I mean, that was his choice. I just think that those two things in tandem are red flags, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Now, throughout the relationship, and because of the fact that Destiny streams for like 9 hours a day, there have been some memeable moments with the two of them interacting with each other. Probably the biggest one being where ABBA from ABBA and Preach is with Destiny in his streaming setup, where ABBA and Melina start like salsa dancing in the background and Destiny is just kind of watching, like,
because I would probably figure out like the basic steps and I would figure out like how to do everything.
All right, let's find out.
No.
Find out.
Uh-oh.
No, okay.
Mel time.
Why did I say this?
Mel time.
Okay.
It's Mel
Oh, so
time.
you got the
Yeah.
form. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just doing salsa. We're just going.
Yep. Right. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah.
There you go. Hey.
Okay, it kind of works.
It's a pretty funny clip. Like, even if you like Destiny, you have to admit, I mean, the Mel time clip is rough. It's a rough clip to defend. I mean, if you're sitting here defending this one, bro, you gotta have an artillery. You gotta be fucking geared up, ready to defend this one. You gotta have like your AR-15s and shit, dude. You gotta get like a militia group to defend this one. And then there was the other clip where Destiny's swimming in the pool and Melina feeds him like a fruit snack, and it's just a very submissive clip.
I am under the water. Please help me.
But that's all kind of like fun and games, right? Not really, you can't really conclude anything from those clips. And then there were other clips where he's like defending the entire concept of an open relationship as like this thing that's like totally ubiquitous. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, I completely disagree. This take is completely cucked, like no thank you. I actually made a video about this like 5 months ago, and I thought it was really good just watching it back. And here's a pretty extended clip from the video, enjoy. Now I know at the beginning of this video I said I wouldn't be making cheap shots at open relationships, but the clip that I'm about to play you, I kind of do. It's from a video from 5 months ago, but I think it's funny and I think I do make good points in it, so I'm sorry, I guess. I don't know what I'm missing, but it feels like all these dudes on the internet now are letting their girlfriends have 10 other boyfriends. Like, guys, am I out of touch? Am I old school for not wanting my girl to have like 10 other guys that are constantly bricked up around her? Like, I swear, bro, if I ever have a girl in the future and she's like, baby, how would you feel about having an open relationship? At that point, your Uber's on the way, you know, get your stuff ready, you know, you can't stay here. Am I crazy for that? Like, I don't understand this stuff. And people, you know, they have different words for it. Open relationship, polyamory. This other one I heard, ethical non-monogamy. Dog, I just can't relate to that shit at all. I don't see the appeal whatsoever. It's like eating dog food, dude. Like, yeah, it's technically food, but it's for dogs. Now, for those wondering why I'm making this video, because it's his relationship and it doesn't really affect me, it's because he'll go on these rants where he'll try to like justify and normalize his type of relationship as something that's healthy and whatever, and then says that anybody who criticizes open relationships is like sad and pathetic and a loser.
The thing about cuck in the open relation comparison is cuck is a projection of a man's insecurity. And a lot of people have the insecurity, so it seems like a valid insult.
The only relationships I've ever done has been open relationships since I was like in high school. Because I didn't really understand like why wouldn't you be able to like do other things with other people, but then just like have your main partner basically.
So what is an open relationship, generally speaking? That means you have one
like
main partner?
Not a monogamous relationship. Like you're somehow allowed like in different ways. You can see other people sexually.
Feel free to argue with me in the comments, but I feel like the only way you would enter an open relationship after being with someone for a long time is if something went wrong. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like breaking up with extra steps. The mentality to me seems like I'm scared to tell this person to cut things off, so I'm just gonna technically still be in a relationship with them, but for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna see other people sexually, and, you know, that list is not limited to one person, it's as many people as I want. But just to make you feel better about this, you can see other people too. Bro, for the longest time, I thought when girls would say, oh, I think we should see other people, it actually meant you're breaking up and you're gonna, you know, date other people. I didn't think it meant we can stay together and see other people. Like that, dude, I don't know, it just makes no sense to me at all.
Like, that's the annoying thing. So like, if me and a partner enter an open relationship, the reason why somebody is calling me a cuck isn't because they think I'm a cuck. It's because if they were in that situation, they'd feel like a cuck.
But that's like kind of separate from this whole thing, and I want to actually get into like what has been said about this divorce and just the more intricate details of it. So the way that this had unfolded initially was Destiny had announced that they had broken up, but he did explain that he was not going to go into further detail about it because it's just not his place to do so. Not trying to use his stream as a group therapy session, just airing out all the details of his divorce or his breakup with his wife, not to make things messy, which I would say is obviously the best way to go about things, because you contrast that with people like XQC when they've had like public breakups. It just gets kind of messy, and it's just not a good look for really anybody.
I shouldn't be like taking private relationship stuff and like airing that publicly. There's literally no reason to do this. I should have never done this when I was typing in chat. There's no reason for me to do like a public accounting of like a private relationship between me and Mel. As much as I think she's made some deplorable decisions over the past few months, I just don't think it's very fair for me to like, I'm gonna do the Mel Manifesto and just completely on her and dump everything on blah blah blah, which is absolutely cucked, and I understand that, I'll tell you, and listen, if you want to blame anybody, blame my therapist, because yesterday I was very close to doing a huge, like, we're gonna talk about a lot of shit. Then I had like I had a really long chat with my therapist, or our therapist, I guess, to try to like sort out my feelings, what I want in the future going forward, like what I think is like the best thing to do. And I basically completely 180'd after that conversation.
So he takes the high road in this clip, basically saying that although he typed about it briefly in chat, he doesn't want to air out his grievances publicly on stream, and that he's going to be careful with how much he wants to reveal publicly and how much he wants to keep private, which is fair enough. I think that's a very reasonable take. But a week or two and a few streams later, he changes his mind, airing out some details about this thing, basically telling his stream that Melina had called him recently asking for $100,000. Now, one thing I think it's important to note is that Destiny did not sign a prenup, meaning that he was at risk to having half of his money taken by Melina after the divorce. But it looks like that is not going to happen. At least I don't think that's on the table as of right now. If that does end up happening, I'm gonna be so upset for my bro. I mean that's gonna be a rough one, dude. But it looks like as of right now, it's not in the cards. But Melina did call him asking for 100K. Now, one thing I also think is worth noting is that Melina, right off the divorce, is seeing this other guy named Memetics, or Memetics, I don't know how you say his name, but he's like this Ezra Miller knockoff. So I think that's just sort of insult to injury, salt in the wound, if you will. Not only is this, divorce not going well, but it's also the fact that she's with this other guy already. And just to throw my hat in the ring here, this guy is just a freak of nature. He's definitely freak of the week, maybe even freak of the year, if you will. Dude, this guy's strange. I checked out his Instagram account. He just gives off major Spurg vibes, just kind of all over the place, not really having his life in order. Apparently he's also just like financially not in a great spot, which you cannot say the same thing about Destiny. Destiny is loaded. This guy's a brokey, so I don't know. I mean, not that that would change anything. If you love someone, obviously the money doesn't matter. But dude, I just think this is like really, like, what a downgrade in my opinion. From what I'm seeing, this guy's a TikToker, a professional TikToker, which would explain the low amount of money he's making, but also just, goddamn, I mean, talk about like a downgrade intellectually. Destiny's a smart guy, like genuinely. He does a lot of research. He's a critical thinker. This guy is like, what, a Zoomer TikTok spurg? GG, I guess. I mean, wow, what a downgrade.
Can you get me laid?
Yeah.
When?
Today.
With?
Your mom.
I don't want that. Wait, who's my mom?
Me.
Chat.
Hi, what's your...
Is that the guy she's dating? That is weird. That is weird.
I might be a little weird, but we all are sometimes.
That is weird. I mean, I didn't think it was possible, chat. Actual downgrade demotion. That's it. That's it.
But yeah, here's the clip of Destiny explaining that Melina called him to ask for 100K. 100 racks, that's not nothing, okay? 100K is a tall order, even for a rich man like Destiny. 100K just doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't just fall out of the sky, you know?
Yeah, so basically, Melina reaches out to me, we have a call, and she basically tells me that I owe her for money for her apartment, and that if I want to do what's moral, because I made her leave the United States and pay to fly all of her shit back, that I should pay her like $100,000. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. And the way that this conversation starts is, this is the funniest thing. Initially, she'd like sent this message through a mutual, and then I responded back, and I was like, oh no, like maybe Tim can get a job, and you guys can, work for this money, good luck. I was very passive aggressive. I admit that. I sent a really nasty message when she asked me for that. Just to be clear, it was like, hey, remember you told me you don't care about the money, you don't care about my help, you don't care about me doing taxes, you don't care about any of that shit. All you want is somebody to cuddle with you for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, there you go. Now you got it. Good luck. Figure it out. I'm sure you guys will. Power of love will, help you with your paperwork. 100%. Okay, because that's the only thing that matters. Remember, it's the only thing that matters in life. I was super passive aggressive in that message.
So he sort of explains that he was doing all this work to basically keep things in order when they were together, like filing taxes, being the breadwinner, kind of managing all the finances, which I believe goes a longer way for Melina because she's not a US citizen, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I know she's I think either born in Sweden or doesn't have US citizenship one way or another, so I think that's probably a harder process to do. And throughout the relationship, it seems like Destiny was like, nah, babe, don't worry about that. I got you, okay? You just stand there and look pretty. I'll do the taxes. I'll do the big boy work.
But then when the call starts, Melina's like, this call starts, she's like, I just want to know where you're at. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I want to know where you're at because of that message you sent 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, I'm at the message that I sent 1 hour ago. And yeah, we argue for a bit about this. And then it's just like a 40-minute call and now that I've grown into Neo when it comes to our relationship, now I can see every single lie and every single pivot and every single attempt, every single thing. I'm like, well, do you have a log for that? Or can you prove that? Or can you show that this happened? Because I have a whole bunch of stuff that says the exact opposite. And it was just like lie after lie after lie for things that I've let her lie about in our entire relationship that drive me insane. And it felt good. It felt good to pick the bullets out of the air.
So he explains that going into the call, things obviously very quickly turn into more about like emotional manipulation, and then there's all this other drama they had in the relationship, and it sort of just devolves into Destiny analyzing Melina's tactics in his debate mind. And hindsight's always 2020. He realizes sort of like what she's doing now that she may have done previously in the relationship, and he goes on to explain how Melina, in his words, emotionally rewrites history, where she'll talk about something in the present day, how she feels about it, as if she's always felt that way about something.
Again, I'm not gonna like dive into like everything, but I'll say, for instance, one thing, because this was kind of public already. Something that I've said about Melina is that Melina emotionally rewrites everything. So, for instance, now when she talks to people about me, I've always been an abuser. I've always been a horrible person, blah, 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 blah. She emotionally rewrites the history with everybody based on her current state, or she'll rewrite the facts based on her current emotional state. So one of the things Melina starts telling me is like, you owe me this because I abandoned all of my stuff in Sweden for you. And it's not fair that like I moved to the US and gave up so much and I abandoned so much in Sweden for you. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You abandoned New Zealand for me. And she's like, no, I abandoned Sweden. I couldn't go back after I blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you hated Sweden and you abandoned New Zealand. And I know this. And then I start pulling logs from the first year of our relationship, because the first year or two of our relationship, all of the fighting was over her not wanting to leave New Zealand and hating Sweden and then having to come to the United States. And there are so many logs of that. There were even logs when she went back to Sweden. She's like, I hate it here. I hate Sweden. It's such a horrible place. And then when we would fight, she'd be like, I can't believe you pulled me away from my dream place of New Zealand. And she's like, well, that's not true. I married you so that we could be together in the United States. And I was like, Melina, you were engaged to a guy in New Zealand 2 weeks after you went down there, okay? Everybody thinks that like I cucked her out of Max or whatever. Melina was engaged to another guy, and then she also was dating Max. There's a whole other guy that was involved there. I don't know if he ever gets brought up, by the way, but whatever, run with your assumptions. But yeah, I was like, Melina, you got engaged with this guy immediately so that you could live in New Zealand forever. And that's what we always thought about. And she was trying to say that yeah, you pulled me away. So I was like, bro, you never liked Sweden. You're like, this is a new thing that you've decided because now you've got like a new group of friends in Sweden, and now you're going to say that like you've loved Sweden the whole time, and I like blah, 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 blah. But that's like, yeah, that was just like one example. It was like 45 minutes of her trying to lie. I would say probably gaslight. I think it's accurate here. She's trying to make me misremember events so that she can manipulate it for her purpose, so that she can like win an argument. But I'm just like, at every point, I'm like, well, do you have a log for this? Well, can you show me this? Do you have any proof for this? Because I've got a bunch of stuff that says the opposite. And then we've got a third party in the call, and she's like, well, what do you think about this? Like, shut up, Steven. Don't shut up. Shut the fuck up. And obviously the other third party is like, well, I don't know. Like, Melina, do you have like a log or anything else or whatever? And then Melina's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Clearly he's made up his mind. And I'm like, okay. She says that like 50 times. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about this anymore. This is clearly over. And I'm like, okay. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Unreal. Unbelievable shit.
Now, if we're going to believe what Destiny is saying, which personally I'm inclined to believe him, obviously I am biased toward believing him because, as I mentioned before, I do like some of his content. I don't think he's lied in the past or has been caught doing anything that's just generally perceived as deceitful. But I feel like regardless of if you want to believe Destiny or not, this is at the very least you can say plausible that this would happen on the phone. Because Melina obviously wants something, which is money and support financially and maybe even emotionally with this transition period of her life. And in order to get those ends, right? The means she might use might be manipulation tactics like gaslighting, like lying, emotionally rewriting history. None of these things I feel like are out of the picture or out of the question. And I think Destiny also asserting that she couldn't really prove anything that she was claiming is kind of a big blow to her credibility. Like, when you make a claim about something, whether that's like, something that happened in the relationship or something she's claiming Destiny promised or something she's claiming Destiny said, you have to have a text message, a Discord message, something to prove that that's just not something you completely made up. Now, in fairness, that is a tough thing to ask for because when you're in a relationship with someone, you trust them, right? So obviously you're not going to be recording them for when the eventual breakup happens to have that to prove that they were lying. It just seems a little weird. But coming up empty-handed every single time you're asked for proof for any of the claims that you're making is, a little bit hard to believe you after a certain while. Especially when Destiny, in contrast, does have logs, does have proof to back up the things that he is saying. He goes on to explain some more specific details as to the things they were fighting over, and I'm going to be be honest, I got a little bit confused as to specifically what he's talking about. It seems that it's mostly about like their living arrangements and like how that was set up and why there was like issues there. But yeah, the whole $100,000 that she's asking for after the relationship is over is insane. I mean, you also have to understand that during the relationship, he was providing for her constantly, and the value of the providing that he's done for her probably is over 100K. So what does she want? Like 100K for like a farewell present? Yeah, I don't think that's happening. It's even more weird too, because like, I mean, obviously, you know, 100K is 100K, like that's a lot of money, but I thought she was rich. Like I thought that she was making a lot of money doing like the Fansly stuff, because like, I mean, I thought that was why she was doing it. My thinking was like, okay, even though she's, you know, getting all this money from Destiny and she's in like a financially well-off situation, she must be making crazy amounts from this in order for her to keep on doing it. But like, I guess not, or maybe she is and she just wants the extra 100K because she's a spoiled brat. I don't know, but yeah, that's a crazy ask. Put that on your Christmas list, you know, ask for that for your birthday or something, but just like for the breakup, I don't think so.
When Mel went back to Sweden, we'd been fighting over like dumb shit. There were another group of, I thought it was only 2, but even as of today, I'm getting more DMs from friends. I just had to burn basically 2 more friendships at the time because Mel had engaged in what I would consider to be incredibly inappropriate talk, where she decided to dump 5 years worth of problems onto mutual friends that we had, that I had like explicitly gone out of my way to share with Mel so that she wouldn't think anything weird was going on. And she decided to, vent completely to all these people. Yeah, so she goes back to Sweden. I'm coming off all that. I'm a little bit irritated, whatever. As she's in Sweden, I think I'm streaming. She's doing her thing over there. Everything moves sideways for a couple months. As I'm here in the United States, Melina ends up meeting a new group of friends in Sweden that seem like pretty cool. She hangs out with them. Everything is cool. Sometimes Melina does this annoying thing where she's like, oh, I met this group of people. They're so cool. Like, it's cool because, they're all gay and platonic and they're dating other people. So there's no like relationship drama or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. That never lasts, but whatever, if you enjoy it. I think this was about 4 months ago. I think it was in early August. One of the friends that she'd made among some of the other friends was the Tim dude.
So he goes on to explain that Melina was being sussy for a bit, and eventually when she went back to Sweden, she had met this guy named Tim, which is the dude we were discussing earlier, Memetics, don't know how to say his name, the professional TikToker, really goated profession there. Look, I know TikTokers only like 1 or 2 levels below what I do, but let me have my laughs, okay? You're a TikToker, bro. So yeah, she ends up like falling for this guy, and this guy was in a relationship that I don't think was open, and he cheats on his girlfriend at the time to be with Melina, which is El Riz if you ask me. Cheating is cringe, but you have to imagine that Melina probably wasn't able to dissuade him from doing that because their relationship, like her and Destiny's relationship, is open, so cheating isn't really a thing. Either that or she just didn't know that he was in a relationship or whatever, but yeah, so that ended up happening.
And eventually, surprise, surprise, Tim ends up cheating on the girl that he's with, Mel, and then a couple days later, they're like officially dating. And she's like, oh my God, you'll never believe this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. Who would have saw that coming? Also, as a quick heads up, because Tim might be getting super mindful right now, because I can tell by the way that he types in chat, Melina is, I don't know what changed, but in the past 6 months, at least, Melina starts to lie a lot. So I think one of the reasons why Tim has been so confident in attacking me is because he has no idea how much I know about him, because Melina probably tells him, oh no, I don't talk to Steven about you really at all. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but I can't see how he could have so much confidence coming at me with so many things, considering how many stupid things I know about this guy, which is funny and tragic at the same time, I guess. But whatever. Initially, like, I'm kind of like, well, okay, it seems kind of weird that when we've talked, you talk about how like cheating is like the most like horrible thing and blah, blah, blah. But like this guy did this to his girlfriend and now you guys hang out, whatever, hey, knock us about, have fun. I'd say like in the first month of their kind of like hanging out, she tells me like a couple weird things and we kind of like joke because Melina and Tim are kind of like me and Melina, and that the Tim guy is like ultra clingy and Melina is more kind of the one who like wants a little bit more space. And I even joke about this with her in DMs. It's like, oh, look, you found your Melina, basically. So like, for example, Melina might be out at a party or she might be hanging out with friends and they're all kind of like drinking and having fun. And at one point, Tim wants to go home and Melina's like, well, I think I'd rather stay and like hang out with people. And then Tim starts like spamming her DMs like, no, you need to come home. This isn't fair. You're making me feel horrible. I need you to come home, blah, 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 right? He's like, that can't happen. She gets it, okay. Which I think is like funny, like reading it from her and I'm like, oh, Jesus, yeah. So that pushes sideways for about a month, just like that kind of shit, which I thought was funny. I'm skipping a lot of different things that I know, okay? Oh wait, Melina was streaming it all and Tim was crying to go home. Oh, I didn't even know that was on stream. It might have been. I don't watch her stream as much, or at all actually, because I'm streaming and she streams out of my time zone.
So it looks like this Memetics guy and Destiny really don't like each other, as Destiny even said that Memetics was like shit-talking him in his own stream chat, which is very bizarre. Like, dude, these are two grown men, by the way. I mean, obviously Destiny's on the receiving end of it, so he's not really being immature, but this Memetics guy, bro, if you want to say something to Destiny, like, get his number, talk to him on the phone, be a man. Like, bro, sniping him in his own chat has to be some infantile shit, bro. But he goes on to explain that Memetics thinks that he has like the upper hand in terms of like the beef or something because Melina and Destiny are broken up, but Destiny goes on to explain that he knows more about him than he knows about Destiny, so I guess checkmate, liberal. Anyway, this whole thing is kind of like weird to follow, and honestly it gets like hyper-specific streamer drama. Sorry, I gotta keep my voice down. People are sleeping right now, but yeah, that's that. If you guys ended up enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Follow my Instagram, and if you want to make a follow-up video on this and try to call Destiny maybe on stream, then let me know down in the comments. I think that'd be interesting. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Have a good day. Maybe it's day for you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.